Okay, thank you. Thank you from Led Zeppelin II. It was a great tune. There's an interesting tidbit of information. I guess I think Jimmy Page sometimes used to, on the sleeve, on the album pressings, used to change the times, the lengths of the song, so when guys at like AM radio or like radio stations were looking for the song no longer than 3 or 4 minutes, they might look at the Zeppelin album and be like, oh, that one's just 4 minutes, but it might be like a 5.5 minute song and they just put it on. This one, I think, was some confusion over they did the fade out on the organ, and then of course it comes back in. So there was something there where there's an extra minute on the tune from that. Anyway, so Thank You is a cool tune. It's real light Bonham playing. Like, actually, I think he goes to the hi hat right away. I forgot. To be honest, I can't remember. Maybe it is on the right. The whole tune is that. And then, of course, there's a... Now, that fill, I'm not really sure how he plays. I mean, to me, if you want to be a die-hard foam at the Zeppelin guy, there is a fill that's like... It's actually kind of sounds like kind of a... It's kind of sloppy, but in a good Bonham-y way. I'm not really sure what he plays. It's like... You know what I mean? Although when I was younger, I used to always imagine it being like doing like a real, like a reverse triplet, like. Or if I play my triplets the other way. Which I always thought would be kind of cool. But he's not. He's just kind of going. Or maybe even on the tom. Anyway, that's, there it is. That's the nature of it. I think it's... But anyway, the grandpappy fill. You're only one. Okay, I don't have the other floor tom here. This is my 18. But now in that song, to me, the reason why that fill to me sounds it sounds very cool, because I think what happened is, especially back in those days when you're not, when they just would record like the rhythm track of the song, sometimes time would float a little bit, so they back stuff in, So the fill is in regular time. Oh, that darling one. In regular time, but the way it comes across on the recording is it doesn't. It comes across like again on the kind of on the and. Only one. Now he could have done that on purpose. The net effect is that it adds like an eighth note or to the part. If you do think that if you want to count, the beginning of that on the one. Kind of like the beginning of rock and roll or some of these things where, people always think the first note is on the one. But I do think that what happened was when they were probably, in my opinion, my humble opinion, when they were cutting the rhythm, when they were cutting the track of the tune, it was like, only one. So that's... Playing the last notes on the floor tom. Sometimes he's like... But to me, the gist of the songs, I'm trying to teach, parts to play parts of the songs. I mean, I know a lot of guys with a lot of tunes, any band, they'll sit and they'll learn the actual recording note for note, and then they're like, look, Well, I mean, to me, it's important to play the song properly, especially the key parts of the song. I don't want to spend, 2 weeks learning every teeny little thing he did on that recording. I mean, you ask John Bonham to do it, he probably would refuse to, or take him 2 weeks to do it to, or anybody, unless you're Neil Peart. I think Neil Peart sitting he actually will play the exact same thing at every show. He plans it out. God love him. Great drummer. Anyway, so. But again, it is possible that it's. See, that would be, for me, that's very hard to actually play, thinking about it in a, again, if you just kind of shift everything, it's hard for me to think about it that way. I guess you could sit there and kind of do the mind meld and figure it out. But I'm fairly certain that, when you do the beat, the fill actually is. Now, whether or not that pattern is played an eighth note over, or it's just the nature of the way the recording turned out because it was kind of in floaty time, that whole middle part, all organic. Another thing too about John Bonham's playing is John Bonham played very inertly. It's like the thing was almost about Bonham, he dragged the beat and he played behind the beat all the time. Oftentimes with Zeppelin, you'll hear instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, it's always 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything is, it's like they wait for him. It's almost like it's almost like Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones got really good at playing to him. He kept the time, and it was his time, because there are certain things that just outright drag. Since I've Been Loving You, there's certain things that do drag, but Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones were so good at playing to him and with him that you don't really notice it. And you can hear on a lot of stuff, if you hear, it's very rarely, in my opinion, that you hear John Bonham rush. I actually do hear in Thank You, if there's any, he's playing on the beat. What is one? There's one where he plays really ahead of the beat on Zeppelin III, and it's kind of weird. God, we used to play it. If the sun refused to shine, still be loving you. Okay, is that Thank You? God, somebody should give me a crack with a hammer. Anyway, but there is a song somewhere on Zeppelin. I want to say it's Zeppelin 3 though. That's on Zeppelin 2. But on Zeppelin 3, there's a song where I kind of hear him rush. Otherwise, he's always draggy drag. God love him. I still think there should be a master's thesis devoted to John Bonham. So that's essentially it for Thank You. So, thank you.